anchor for NBC News. It's a beautiful day outside. I can see kids playing around, cars leaving for work, and many people getting ready for the beautiful day it is. It was a similar type of day 15 years ago, the day that changed history forever. 9/11 was a tragic event that has changed our world. However, what if the attacks were allowed by our own government? What if the plane attacks were actually a disguise for the many bomb explosions placed in the buildings prematurely? There are many theories for the attacks, some of which we'll dive deeper into in these next 4 hours.
9/11 was a tragic event. I remember the day vividly. I turned on the news and saw the horrible event unraveling before my eyes. Men and women had to decide whether they were going to burn to death or jump to death. Horrible, horrible event. However, 9/11 simply could not have happened, as everyone believed it did.
The United States knew that Iraq was a dangerous threat to their neighbors, as well as being a threat to the United States. Our leaders were planning an attack on the country months before the attacks of 9/11.
Saddam Hussein became president of Iraq in 1979. Hussein provided a safe place for terrorists to go, which was threatening to the United States. Our leaders were worried.
Documents prove that the Bush administration had been planning the attack on Iraq for many months in advance. Planned for post-Saddam Iraq was the title of one secret document, as well as a Pentagon document titled Foreign Suitors for Iraq Oilfield Contractors.
Through the documents found and the various accounts of people working with Bush and for Bush, it's just simply impossible to ignore such evidence.
Because of the desperate need to attack the Middle East, the Bush administration was looking for a way to do so. The fact is, the Bush administration had more knowledge of the attacks than what they let on.
What was the president doing on this day? Oh, President Bush was at Emmett T. Booker Elementary School on September 11th, 2001, reading The Pet Goat to children at the school. At 9:06, one of the president's men whispered into his ear, taking less than 2 seconds to explain that the second tower had been hit. Bush continued to read to the children for 8 more minutes before getting up to leave. Bush left the classroom at 9:16, giving one more speech in the school, but Bush did not leave until 9:33.
The only known footage from the first plane crash into the North Tower was not televised until much later. However, in a later statement made by President Bush, he said he was fully aware of the first plane crash before entering the classroom from a nearby TV. If his statement was true, that would mean that the Secret Service detail would have had access to a video from a secret camera fixed on the North Tower because they were expecting the attack.
It is important to note that the president remained in the elementary school for 29 minutes after he was made aware of the attacks. The president remained at the school for a photo op and speech. The failure to remove the president from the highly publicized event and get him to a safe place shows that the Secret Service was either highly incompetent or that they knew the attacks would not endanger the president.
Starting in the spring of 2001, the CIA began to give warning signs that there was going to be an attack on the U.S. Bush's administration shrugged off the warnings of an al-Qaeda attack that were given to them on August 6, 2001.
Had the Bush administration listened to the warning signs and perhaps taken them more seriously, 9/11 could just be another day in history. Rather than focusing their attention on the threat of terrorist attack made known to them months in advance, the Bush administration focused their attention on other foreign affairs.
Although there are many theories as to what happened on 9/11, the Bush administration looks very suspicious through it all.
There are many theories on 9/11. The blame is spread among many groups. The Bush administration has given reasons for people to blame them. However, the CIA also has received blame for the attack.
The CIA has to be a definite factor for the 9/11 attacks. Richard Clarke, who headed the government's anti-terrorism efforts in 2001, theorized CIA Director George Tenet ordered the agency to withhold information about Nawi al-Hazmi and Khalid al-Mihdhar from the rest of the government in an effort to cover up the agency's recruitment of the two. Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawi al-Hazmi had both been identified as al-Qaeda's agents in the CIA, but that information was not shared with the FBI or U.S. immigration, so both men were able to legally enter the U.S. to prepare for the 9/11 attacks. George Tenet released a statement denying the agency deliberately withheld from the information of the pair and noted Clark himself that he had no proof.
Under all of the noses of the American citizens, the CIA recruited and trained Islamic fighters in order to help Afghanistan win its war against the Soviet Union. The sneaky little men from the American CIA got their funding for the Islamic fighters from the opium trade in Central Asia. That isn't quite an interesting way to get funding. The CIA also assisted terrorists with anti-American sentiments. Something that the CIA did not see coming was some of that these terrorists were later responsible for the attack on September 11th. The real question is, were the Islamic fighters the only ones that turned on America, or did the CIA go against their own country? 9/11 was a tragic day in our nation's history, one that will never be forgotten. There are many theories about what happened on that day. However, the main takeaway from this is that there are several conspiracy theories throughout all events in history. Americans distort information to create news stories, as well as find loopholes in existing stories to create new ideas. Whether the conspiracy theories are correct or not, many of the ideas give new reasonings to unexplained events. 9/11 will be remembered forever.